Hello and welcome to How to Edit Surgical Videos, brought to you by CSurgeries.com. I'm Eric Gamwerker, Vice President of Education for CSurgeries. CSurgeries.com is a website designed to provide video education for today's learner, whether it be a trainee, surgeon, patient, or family. So first of all, some tips. I recommend you limit your time of your videos to less than 5 minutes and ideally about 2.5 minutes. Only include the necessary steps for the procedure. Try to speed up redundant sections of your video so that people don't have to watch it in real time once they get the idea of what's happening. Include section headers and banners so that people can find these in the videos later on. Crop away excess areas in the images and videos so that people can focus on the important parts. Record your voiceover last once all of your images and raw videos are put together. And try to avoid animations as these can be distracting. So today we're going to use iMovie as our editing software to produce our surgical video. There are many other options out there, and I'll talk about a few of those at the end. The first thing you need to do in iMovie is to start a new event, and you can call this whatever you like. I call this my movie or new movie. As a way of orientation, in iMovie, there's a library area, which is this area. So files have to be imported into iMovie so that you can work on them. The next is the bottom area, which is the editing area, where you actually produce your movie by taking your raw files and putting them in some organizational structure so that they flow together. So the first thing that you need to do is import your media into the library. You can see two arrows here, import and import media. You can also just drag and drop from the Finder into this area here. So let's click import media. It will bring up our file structure, and I highly recommend that you put all of your raw images and videos into one location to make this a little bit easier for yourself. So here you can see laryngeal cleft video. I have images. I use PowerPoint slides, which we'll show you in a bit, and the raw videos, which I put all together. So all I need to do is select all of these and import them all into the library. And as you can see, my image files and my videos have now shown up into my library area, but there's nothing down into the editing section or the My Movie section. So the next thing you need to do is you need to bring your raw videos into the editing area. And the way you do that is you can just click and drag the section of the video that you want. Once you have that area selected, you drag it down into the editing window. And now you can see that I've grabbed about 12.5 seconds of video. Also, once it's down here, I highly recommend that you detach the audio. So to do that, all you need to do is right click or control click on a Mac, and it'll bring up this little window. And I just click detach audio, and you can see that the audio file has now shown up down below. There's no audio associated with this. As you can see, it's a flat line. So I can actually delete it from the editing area just by selecting it and pressing delete. So now I have this raw video file here, but it's not centered. So the way that I center it is by doing a cropping. I go up to adjust, and it brings down this little menu, and I have multiple small icons. The crop icon is right here. I click that, and it brings up three options. One is to fit it, crop to fill, and the Ken Burns effect, which usually makes still images seem like they're moving. I'm going to use crop to fill, which essentially says that once I shrink it down to the area that I want to be viewed, that it'll maximize the window, and the plus centers it. So at first I want to sort of select down how big I want it, and I'm going to center it around the area that I think is most important in the video, trying to get everything else out of the way to focus only on the most important part of the image. Once I'm happy with it, I just click the select button, and as you can see, it's now maximized it into the window. And now I'm much more happy with how it looks, and you can run through that section of video. So the next thing we're going to show you is how to add clips. So essentially you go back up into your library and again find where you want to add and click it and drag to grab however much of that video you want. And it should just scoot in next to anything or in between any areas that you had previously. And again, we're going to have to shrink this down and center it using the crop to fill, and just click the check mark. So now we're going to show you how to adjust the clip speed so that once you get to these areas where there's a lot of redundant action, you can speed up the clip so people don't have to watch it in real time, and that will actually shorten your video. The way to do this is by going up to the turtle, which will show the speed of the clip. So right now it's set to normal, but I can actually slow it down, speed it up, or make it custom. In this setting, I'm going to make it faster, and I can make it 2x, 4x, 8x, and 20x. And as you can see, the time in the window shrinks, and a small bunny rabbit appears to tell me that this is a sped up section. So we can do 8x, and it shrinks it down even more. When you're looking at it in the window, it looks somewhat choppy, but when you have the final video, it'll actually look relatively smooth. The next thing to learn is how to split the clip. So here you can see I have 12.5 seconds, but let's say I don't want the last 6.5 seconds. I just select the area that I'm interested in cutting out. I right click, or in this setting control click, and it brings up this menu again, and I can split the clip. So now it's split this clip into 2 sections, and I want to delete out this section because I don't think I need it. So I just highlight it, click delete it, and as you can see, the video shrinks down so that it is continuous. The next thing that we're going to do is to add in some title slides so that people, when they want to rewatch the video, can easily find where that is. So I'm going to show you how to make a title, and you can choose where it appears in the area. So if we want it to be in the top left, let's say, then what I can do is I can insert it in between, and you can see it scooches over and allows it to appear. So this is now a title slide, and I can change the name just by clicking on it. And I can say this is the laser section. And you can change the amount of time that this appears. Right now you can see it's set to 4 seconds, and I'm going to shrink it down to 2 seconds or so. 2 to 4 seconds should be enough. And so now, as you can see, that this title slide will appear before the section. The next thing that we can do is to actually mark the video sections on the video itself so that people can be oriented to where they're at in the procedure. And this is done in a very similar fashion by going back up to the title section and dragging it down on top of the video clip instead of in between. And you can see now that it appears. And so we're going to laser the mucosa. And now that that video section has a header, we can go ahead and shorten the time that this appears so it only appears during this one video section. And now that section area is notated, and when we go back and play it, you can see that it plays with this title area. So the next thing I'd like to do is to show you how to import images. And so basically we go back to the library. All I do is I grab it and drag it in and wait till everything moves over. And again, so you can see that this defaults to the Ken Burns effect. You can see it sort of zooms itself in, which is fine if that's what you want. The other thing you can do in a similar fashion is to import your PowerPoint slides, which is something I like to do. So as you can see here, these are all PowerPoint slides that were actually saved as image files. And so we're going to select these so that they can actually be the title slides. And I'm going to delete this title slide so this replaces it. Once you're happy with your video, you can just play and watch the entire thing to make sure that it fits what you want it to look like. And it's at this point that I would recommend that you go back and while you're playing it, that you record the audio. I highly recommend recording audio voiceover onto your videos so that you can narrate the different portions of the procedure, orient people to anatomy, and keep them on track as to what you're referring to. And the way you do that is you can go up to Window and record voiceover, and a little microphone will appear underneath the area, and you just click Start Recording, and the video will play while your audio is recording. So the final thing you need to do is once your movie is where you want it to be, is to export the finished product. And you can do that by clicking the share button and you can export it to a file and it'll bring up the options to do 1080p, 720p, whatever size and resolution you want. And then all you do is click next and that will start producing your video. There's also usually an export function that will do the same. Here's some other video editing softwares with some prices. Remember, you usually can get education pricing. Some of these are free, some come with your computer. Thank you so much and I appreciate your time.